Well, this is interesting because when I read the question, I was actually immediately drawn to Peter. Peter also says, submit to your government for the sake of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I think that there is a submission to government, and so we have to be careful, but there is also a time where you have to stand and you say, no, this goes against the laws of the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
And so I think there is a submitting to the authority that is there until it opposes the authority which has been given by God, and which is, there are certain things, for example, we must pray. And then you see in Daniel, the only time that Daniel opposes the law of the land is when he's told to bow down to an idol and is no longer allowed to pray. You see the same thing with Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. As soon as they're told to bow down to an idol, no, you've now crossed the line between my relationship with God. And I've been told by my God, no, I must stand for this. And that's when the only time you're seeing the opposing of authority here. And so just as Paul was saying, that the problem is there's laws that we don't agree with. I do not agree with the 20-mile-an-hour roads, but in these situations, we must obey. But if it's now beginning to it's beginning to interrupt my relationship with God. So, for example, if a law was put in place, you must not pray, I believe that there's a God-given authority for us to maintain our relationships with the Lord. And I think when we see Daniel, we see that what happens is they don't come barraging doors down or, parading or, these are our rights. They simply continue to follow the laws of the land, which is what has been, and then they follow the laws of the kingdom. And what happens is there's a collision here. And it puts God in a position where God must make himself known, so that the people that are opposing God have to actually deal with God and not the people themselves. And so I think what happens here is when we just obey, we humble ourselves, we don't make a racket, we don't make a noise, in the context of, we're not saying that we don't address things that are wrong, but there are ways to go about it. If there's something that's wrong, many people will scream and shout and kick their toys off and run to Instagram and run to Facebook. No, run to your prayer closet, because like Paul said, the least you can do is pray, and the most you can do is pray.
Wow.
Wow.